Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. It's turning out to be a very big week for Sony, both in milestones and in leaks. Let's get started. So firstly, PlayStation is celebrating its birthday. It's a milestone birthday. It was released December 3rd, 1994 in Japan. So if it hasn't felt like 25 years, that's because in North America and Europe, it came out later on in 95, which is 24 years, so still pretty close to the 25-year milestone. Now, I'm sure most of you watching this video have some very fond memories of the original PlayStation. I sure do. My original memory of the PlayStation, at least from what I can remember, is kind of funny. So in my town, I grew up in a very small town and a very closed off community, I would say. This is definitely before the internet exploded and none of us really had the internet. So most of our news came from magazines like Nintendo Power. And I remember the PlayStation was popular for a little bit around us kids, and then the Nintendo 64 came out. And then all of us were right on board with the N64, saying it was better than the original PlayStation. It killed it in terms of graphics and games and performance. And our little analytical minds were completely wrong. So if we take a look at the best-selling consoles of all time, we can see the PlayStation is sitting at number 5 with 102.49 million units sold. Now, if we scroll down the list just a little bit here, maybe just a little bit more, and we end up with Nintendo 64 sitting at 32.93 million, so just under a third. And to further drive home how good the original PlayStation was, or at least how popular it was, let's look at the home consoles, where it's sitting right now third in the list overall. So if we take a look, compare that with the Nintendo 64, its direct competition, Nintendo 64 is much further down the list. So overall, we couldn't have been more wrong in terms of what system was more popular and arguably what system was better. Now, something to consider, sales numbers don't necessarily mean a system is better. In terms of lasting appeal and popularity of video games, for example, games like Zelda, Ocarina of Time, or Majora's Mask, Super Mario 64, those games spawned a legacy. Like, they are incredibly popular. They're still popular to this day. And I think a lot of the N64 games hold up considerably better than the original PlayStation games. But that's really a matter of personal preference, and I could go on about the topic for hours. I'm actually just going to park that here and maybe answer that in a later video or something. I will say though, I do use the term PlayStation and PS1 interchangeably, although they are two separate systems. Yes, they do play the same games, but the PS1 actually came out in 2000, a little later on. The PlayStation, the original PlayStation, was not called the PS1. So I do want to clarify that. Even though I use the terms interchangeably, they are two separate different systems. If you have any interesting stories about the PS1 or the PlayStation, when it came out, when you just got it, or any nostalgic memories whatsoever, let me know in the comments below and I would be more than happy to read them. So moving on from there, the second thing I wanted to talk about today was the leak from Sony. Actually, Sony leaked this unintentionally. Resident Evil 3 was leaked for the PlayStation 4. And Resident Evil 3 is going to be a full remake, just like Resident Evil 2. It was leaked here at Reset Era. I will leave a link to this forum in the description below. And if you're wondering how it was leaked, it was actually leaked through Sony's own PSN. So if we take a look at this website here, Gamstat, what it does is it tracks everything that's been added to PSN. And what we can see here is Biohazard RE3 and Biohazard RE3 Z version, or Z version if you're in the States. Now, it's amusing that both images were taken down so quickly, obviously trying to hide the leak, but the images were online, and obviously once something's online, it's here forever. So on Eurogamer, I actually like this article because they did credit both sources. They have the actual images for Resident Evil 3. So here are the three pictures in all of their glory on the internet forever. And if we take a look, if you're asking about the legitimacy of this leak, it's legit. It's pretty much a slam dunk at this point. I would be extremely shocked if it did not show up on PSN at some point, and if it wasn't announced fairly soon, because this is legitimate artwork. We can see Resident Evil 3, and if we scroll down, there's the Z or Z or whatever you want to call it, the Z version. On top of that, what's really interesting is this came out for PlayStation. So the original Resident Evil 3 came out for the original PlayStation. And now what's interesting about all of this, PlayStation just celebrated its 25th anniversary. Resident Evil 3 just celebrated its 20th anniversary on the original PlayStation. If you take a look right there, September 22nd, 1999. And now if you want to do some fun math, if we take a look at the anniversary, 25th, right? 2 and 5. 2 minus 5 is 3. This is Resident Evil 3, which is the third game in the Resident Evil series. Half-Life 3 confirmed. So in 20 to 30 years, whenever Half-Life 3 actually comes out, you can remember the good times on Mr. Sujano's channel when I broke the news about it. But in all seriousness, I'm really excited that it is 25th anniversary for PlayStation. I don't think they've done anything special. They didn't release better firmware for the original PlayStation Classic. They didn't really do anything on that front. But I will say this news with Resident Evil 3, I'm actually glad this news broke. I'm happy they are remaking Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 2 Remake was a big success. It was very well received. So I'm pretty much thinking Resident Evil 3, and Capcom's probably thinking this as well, is also going to be very well received. Let me know what you think about Resident Evil 3 Remake in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Thank you everyone, take care.